I prosecuted hundreds of jury trials in a courtroom very similar to the one today, yet I've never seen anything like this. A judge is supposed to be a neutral arbiter of facts.
So if she is going to be the Attorney General, what does that mean in terms of how Donald Trump and the Justice Department treat all of those people convicted of assaulting police officers on January 6th?
To the extent that the November 26th date is adjourned. They were so close. They were gonna have him sentenced in like 4 days, man. But not anymore. Rumors about Donald Trump appointing a guy named Mike Rogers to the FBI have now been quashed, and that is great news because we went through some of Mike Rogers' prior tweets, and he was on the wrong side of, I think, every single issue that matters, which is not good. You don't want that person in charge of the FBI. And we saw a report earlier today of Caitlin Collins explaining that Mike Rogers might have been put on top and they would have brought in Kash Patel as deputy. You may have seen those headlines. But apparently Dan Scavino says, not happening. Says, just spoke to President Trump regarding Mike Rogers going to the FBI. It's not happening. In his own words, I have never even given it a thought. Not happening. All right, so Caitlin Collins and all the others who are spreading rumors around, who knows where they're getting it from? But that sounds pretty unequivocal. And that's good news because Mike Rogers was on the wrong side in 2017 about Russia collusion nonsense. That was all made up nonsense. He was like, oh, we have to be worried about this. Classified documents case, FBI investigations, always in favor of the FBI. FISA, January 6th, the list goes on and on. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And it made me very nervous because Trump has already made some statements like he's going to build the FBI a big, new, beautiful building, which makes me want to puke my guts up. But Trump knows a lot about navigating Washington now. So he's making his way through with a better set of lenses. So this is good news. Mike Rogers is not coming in. Great news. Thank you, Dan, for the update and for clarifying that for all of us who are nervous about it. We also see Trump posted that Pam Bondi is going to be coming in, and a lot of people are very excited about her. Even Lindsey Graham's excited about her, which I don't know if that's a good thing. If Lindsey Graham likes anything, I'm kind of looking the other way. But Trump came out, appointed Pam Bondi, says, I am proud to announce former AG of the great state of Florida, Pam Bondi, is our next Attorney General for the United States. She was a prosecutor for nearly 20 years, where she was very tough on violent criminals, made the streets safe for Florida. Then, as Florida's first female AG, she worked to stop the trafficking of deadly drugs and reduce the tragedy of fentanyl, which has destroyed families. She did an incredible job that I asked her to serve in a drug commission in my first term, and we saved many lives. For too long, the partisan DOJ has been weaponized against me and other Republicans. Not anymore. Pam will refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again. I have known Pam for many years. She is smart and tough and is an American first fighter who will do a terrific job as the Attorney General. Now, Pam has been out before. You may have seen her before on the streets of New York. When Trump was being prosecuted, there was a show of force in one of his trials that involved a bunch of people. You can see them in the background here. Looks like Ronnie Jackson's over here. Don Jr.'s in the house. Sebastian Gorka's rounding out the side over here. And there's Pam Bondi right there in the middle. And this is what she said in support of the president facing prosecutions in the state of New York.
Prior to being Attorney General of Florida, I was a career prosecutor for 18 years. I prosecuted hundreds of jury trials in a courtroom very similar to the one today, yet I've never seen anything like this. A judge is supposed to be a neutral arbiter of facts. First of all, this case was declined by many years from the Southern District of New York, by the Department of Justice, by multiple jurisdictions, yet they bring it on the heels of a presidential election.
She's been out there on Team Trump for a while, supporting the president, rightfully so. And it's not even really about supporting the president as much as it is about supporting justice, due process, the presumption of innocence, and the problems with weaponized law enforcement agencies like the DOJ and the FBI that prosecute political opponents in America. Shouldn't be happening to Trump, but it shouldn't be happening at all to anybody. And so thankfully she was there making that known. Now, some people point to that and they say, oh gosh, I don't know if Caitlin Collins or anybody over at CNN has been watching our show. Probably not. But we've been excited to have Todd Blanche working his way up into the deputy AG, followed by Emil Bove, who's assistant deputy AG. And the new AG, we were hoping it kind of was Matt Gaetz because we know where he lies on many of these issues. And Caitlin Collins is concerned about that. Who are all these people? Who are they going to be acting on behalf of? The president? So what she did is she got James Trusty, a former Trump attorney, to come out and answer some questions about this. And we like James Trusty here. He's always a solid interview and represents the law and the process quite well. And here's what he said to Caitlin.
Donald Trump. Jim Trusty is here. And Jim, what do you make of what Ellie just brought up there? I mean, you obviously represented Trump previously, but you also ran the Justice Department's organized crime section at one point. Do you think having multiple people who previously represented Trump at the top layers of the Justice Department is an issue?
No.
Not particularly. I mean, look, there's a couple of things. The Attorney General position, which I view as a very, very important position for the country, from being around criminal justice for 35 years, from being at the department for 17, I view it as a critically important job where there was great need for independence and competence. But historically, you had a president that picked his brother. More recently, you had a president whose AG said, I'm his wingman.
Eric Holder.
So this idea that they're going to be thoroughly, perfectly independent is always a little bit of a myth. You do want a strong personality, somebody that'll stand up for what's right. I'll tell you, my criteria, though, drifts from where you guys are. What I would say is, number one, the president clearly wants somebody who's willing to throw a grenade under the tent. Somebody who is going to blow up the politicized culture. And I'll tell you, I think that's right. I think they need someone who's going to go in and say, let me hear about all the misconduct that was affiliated with the Trump investigation and others to find out if heads should roll. But beyond that, every morning, and Ellie knows this too, every morning like 7:30, the Attorney General gets a briefing where they're being asked questions about what do we do on this terrorism case? Do we have enough to pull the trigger? Or what about this counter-espionage? Or what about this senator? And those are really nuanced, difficult questions of procedure and judgment. And I like the thought of someone with some prosecutorial experience. And Bondi may not have had that level, that exact altitude, but I think she's pretty well equipped to do the daily job that's so important and that's frankly much more important than kind of bald notions of political allegiance.
So you do think Pam Bondi is a good choice for this role?
Look, I think, for me, and maybe it's a function of me being old, I value experience. I like people that have some inside experience. I know you don't want somebody from the swamp to manage the swamp, but I like the fact that she's got serious prosecutorial experience. She's obviously a political figure and a media figure too, but 20 years in a large state handling an office with significant cases and being in the trenches trying cases. Those are good signs from my perspective.
All right, so endorsed by James Trusty. A lot of people on the right very excited about her coming in. There was a little bit of a letdown also on the right because kind of wanted that brawler Matt Gaetz in there. But Matt Gaetz is making a different decision. He's going elsewhere, and he's not coming back to Congress. Yesterday, we were gaming out some possibilities there. Remember, the idea being that Matt Gaetz said, I do not intend to take the oath of office in the 119th Congress. He resigned officially from the 118th and said that maybe he reverses his intention. If he wanted that, does he want to go back to Congress? So there was some question whether he was going to go back, but he's saying, I'm not going back. I don't even want to go back, so we're not even going to contest it. And remember, Jason Smith from Congress actually yesterday came out and said, yeah, we could have him back if he wanted to, but he's not going back. Matt Gaetz said on Friday he does not plan to rejoin Congress after he withdrew his name. Says, I'm still going to be in the fight, but it's going to be from a new perch. I do not intend to join the 119th Congress, is what Gaetz said in an interview talking to Charlie Kirk. Said, there are a number of fantastic Floridians who stepped up to run for my seat, people who have inspired with their heroism, with their public service. I'm actually excited to see Northwest Florida go to new heights and have great representation. Nice statement. Gaetz was first elected when he was 28. Man, that's young. I'm 42 now. I've got other goals in life that I'm eager to pursue. Wife, family. So I'm going to be fighting for Trump. I'm going to be doing whatever he asks of me, as I always have. But I think that 8 years is probably enough time in Congress. That is true, yeah. Gaetz said it seems like a pretty poetic time to allow great new blood to come in. And he says he might go into the Trump administration without getting into details. Said, we need a leadership structure under President Trump that's going to allow for durability of our movement and the ability to continue this great realignment of our politics. So I'll play a part in that. I plan to be a big voice, but not as an elected official of government. So then DeSantis came out. The Florida Department of State announced later today that a special election would take place on April 1st, 2025 to fill the Gaetz exit leaves the Republicans down a seat. So does that mean we may not have a full margin with another Republican in there until April? What about those first month and a half? NBC News reached out to Gaetz's former House aides for comments. After Gaetz removed his name, there was some question as could he come back in the next term? If he were to rejoin Congress, there was also a question about whether the Ethics Committee would pick back up. The panel had been investigating him. During the probe, there were 2 encounters that allegedly came out. The DOJ had also been investigating him, but didn't pursue any charges. Gaetz' forthcoming nomination was already on shaky ground. Some senators apparently were putting the nix on it, and he joined the House, disliked by a bunch of people, including Kev McCarthy as House Speaker last year. So that is Gaetz, not coming back to Congress as it stands, and we'll see what's next for him. So meanwhile, we got Bill Clinton out, and he's explaining that Trump's picks are his yes men or something.
He's interested in people who are loyal to him 100% of the time, no matter what the issue, no matter what the facts, no matter who gets hurt. He wants people who just say yes and then get after it.
Well, that's what you want, right? When you're leading something?
Second, he believes that his supporters have no confidence whatever in the federal government.
We don't.
And Lord knows he's done everything he could to destroy that confidence.
No, he didn't do anything. You guys did it. What did Trump do to destroy the confidence? Called out what the federal government has done. That's all. What is he supposed to just sit there and take it? You guys prosecuted him. You guys locked us down. You guys mandated this and mandated that. You started many wars, told us inflation was fictional and that the border's great and crime's incredible. So you've wrecked your own credibility. You've tried to gag Trump. You've imprisoned J6ers. You raided his house. You tried to throw him off the ballot. Issue after issue. You guys have been terrible. You've wrecked. Trump couldn't have done the damage to the federal government if he tried. He couldn't have done what you guys have done. One of the biggest individuals responsible for that is Shifty Adam Schiff, so-called senator now, censured, which means he's one of the worst congressmen, now senator-elects in American history.
And the other motive here by the president is he wants loyalists that will defend him and go after his adversaries. I'm obviously particularly interested in the Justice Department because I came out of the Justice Department.
And I'm freaking out, man. I'm obviously particularly interested in you because I'm freaking out. I can't sleep at night.
And, you know, we dodged a bullet certainly with Matt Gaetz, but nevertheless, he is chosen for the very top positions now, including the nominee of Bondi, are basically his personal attorneys, his criminal attorneys, his impeachment attorney.
She did, by the way. Pam Bondi worked on the first impeachment. I forgot to mention that.
He views the Justice Department not as a department representing the American people or the public interest, but as a department representing Donald Trump, his criminal liability, his civil liability, to be his shield.
Once again, reversing everything that they've done. It's called projection, Adam Shifty. You guys did this. You prosecuted Bannon, Navarro, 1,500 J6ers. You raided Trump's residence. You tried to throw him off the ballot. Now you're going to say he's going to pervert the DOJ into his own little goon squad? You guys have already done that. These people are coming in to correct the record. You're responsible for criminality in America, and repercussions are coming.
And also to be his sword and go after his enemies. And as well, Pam Bondi was one of the election deniers out there very early on.
The election was rigged by people like you. You did it in 16 too.
Fake ballots. So if she is going to be the Attorney General, what does that mean in terms of how Donald Trump and the Justice Department treat all of those people convicted of assaulting police officers on January 6th? Is she going to continue as Attorney General pushing out the big lie? These are questions that she's going to have to answer during her confirmation hearings. But
the big lie is that Trump was at all responsible for January 6th. You guys rejected his attempts to protect a jurisdiction that isn't even his, it's Congress's. And you guys said that he was going to try to steal the Capitol by securing the Capitol. Then when you rejected his offer to secure the Capitol, you blamed him for trying to take over the Capitol. So, Shifty, you're lying.
Have been loyal to him. Those that have been willing to essentially present his false defenses and his fake claims have been now elevated to the top ranks, or if he has his way, will be elevated to the top ranks of our justice system.
Well, we're excited about it. So Shifty seems a little bit nervous. He's got this facade of a calm about him, but under his skin, he's crawling. Now, here's another update. As we reported earlier this week, Trump's campaign was declaring victory in the New York case because Alvin Bragg agreed in a motion that the sentencing date could be vacated. And we declared victory along with the Trump campaign because what we saw, it wasn't written there explicitly, was that there was no opposition to a vacating of the sentencing date. It was going to go away because Bragg was okay with that. And Judge Merchan wants to do that. Trump obviously wants it too. Now it is official. The order has dropped and it came out from the judge in writing. On November 19th, they said, this Judge Merchan writing this, acting is right. On November 19th, the court received separate submissions from Trump, its president-elect defendant, you improper, inconsiderate, ill-mannered judge, and the district attorney of New York County, see, it gives him a proper title, seeking various forms of relief in connection with the above captioned matter. The respective applications are decided as follows. It is hereby ordered, says the judge, that president-elect defendant's request for leave to file a motion to dismiss is granted. It is further ordered, so Trump wins, he's going to file his motion to dismiss, which is going to have to cause the sentencing date to go bye-bye and be reset for another date. Ordered that the joint request for a motion schedule is granted. Why do you need additional motion schedules if you're just going to sentence him and he's going to go to prison? You don't. Defendant's motion is due by the close of business Monday, December 2nd. Oh, he just keeps kicking it down the road, as we said. Okay, they're not going to come out and just say, sorry, Trump goes free. They're going to take their sweet time. They're going to make it hurt, drag it out. The people's response is due by December 9th. The court will not accept reply briefs, and it's further ordered that the application to stay the decision on their other motion is granted pending receipt of papers from all parties, and it is further ordered that the joint application for a stay of the sentencing is granted to the extent that the November 26th date is adjourned. Ugh. The above constitutes the decision and order of the court. They were so close. They were gonna have him sentenced in like 4 days, man. But not anymore. Oh man, that stinks for them, doesn't it? It's good for America, good for justice, good for law and order, but not for them because they put all their eggs in this basket and they wanted him sentenced. So Andrew Weissman, George Conway, Mark Elias, all of them, a million liberals screaming into the sun. Sentencing was gonna happen! And even when we covered this earlier in this week, there were some comments here and there on X. It's not official yet, okay? Sentencing is still on the date. No, it wasn't. They're gonna move it. They're gonna vacate it. They have to. Now his decision is going to be stayed as to sentencing, and we'll see what comes next. Thank you for subscribing, my friends. We're looking forward to this case and more developments on that one.